Is it just me, or is there a point where Meghan Markle finally takes a step back, looks in the mirror, and realizes that the world isn't exactly hanging onto her every move? Sometimes it feels like she's on an endless ego trip, dancing for the camera, trying to project fun, sexiness, and domestic bliss, while Prince Harry plays the part of the quiet, relatable husband. She posts videos where the message seems less about joy and more about attention. One clip, in particular, has sparked a renewed storm, setting off rumors that refuse to die. Once again, the question arises, did Meghan Markle actually give birth to her children, Archie and Lilibet, or were they born via surrogate? What's keeping the fire alive is not just online gossip, it's Meghan's own estranged family throwing fuel on the flames. Her father, Thomas Markle, and half-sister Samantha have been more than willing to add their voices to the growing chorus of skeptics. And while Meghan once said she wishes people would just tell the truth, some believe she's very aware that public perception labels her a liar. In her Netflix docuseries, she painted a picture of humble beginnings, claiming she ate TV dinners in front of the screen. Her brother responded bluntly, calling it rubbish. Then came the resurfacing of an old pregnancy video, one that didn't exactly scream authenticity. Instead of celebration, it drew confusion, criticism, and conspiracy theories. The video in question didn't land well with a significant portion of viewers. Some found it cringy. Others downright disturbing. Social media lit up not with heart emojis but with accusations suggesting her baby bump looked unnatural. Some claimed it didn't move right, didn't hang right, didn't look heavy enough for someone supposedly 9 months pregnant. Meghan's dancing, intended to be joyful, was interpreted by many as an act. An overproduced scene meant more to trigger buzz than celebrate life. Then came reports from outlets like Radar Online that Buckingham Palace was now under mounting pressure to make some sort of official clarification. A palace insider reportedly said, "This scandal comes as no surprise." Speculation has been simmering for years. The secrecy around the births, especially given the royal context, has only added layers of mystery. Archie and Lilibet are 6th and 7th in line to the throne, and yet doubts about their legitimacy based on how they were born could affect their royal standing. Lady Colin Campbell, one of the loudest critics, didn't mince words, saying, "The whole thing stinks to high heaven," and calling for definitive proof that Meghan gave birth herself. According to Campbell, the confusion and secrecy are largely Meghan's doing. If surrogacy was involved, she believes it should have been publicly acknowledged. There should be no room for speculation when it comes to succession. The rumors, however wild they seem, persist because the couple refuses to put them to rest with undeniable proof. Critics argue that Meghan's video is less about motherhood and more about making a statement, "I'm still hot. I'm still relevant, look at me." The song she danced to, with lyrics like "Get the child support" and "Pay my rent," only amplified the feeling that this wasn't about family, it was about attention. What rubbed people the wrong way even more was the inconsistency between the story Meghan and Harry have told and the image they now present. She once claimed to suffer from pregnancy complications, including preeclampsia and a miscarriage. And yet the dancing video showed no signs of stress or discomfort. Mothers who've experienced pregnancy were quick to point out the glaring disconnect. At 9 months, walking is difficult, let alone dancing and smiling. There was no wincing, no waddling, no breathlessness, just polished performance. For many, it simply didn't ring true. Then there's the issue of privacy. Meghan and Harry have demanded it, especially around their children, yet they willingly post deeply personal content. It sends mixed signals. You can't ask for privacy and then create spectacle around your private life. The contradiction hasn't gone unnoticed, with many calling the whole thing hypocritical. Even media outlets, though hesitant to dive into conspiracy, acknowledged how strange it all looked. The moon bump theory, the idea that Meghan wore a fake baby bump, sounds wild. But it keeps coming back because of the details that don't add up. From inconsistencies in bump size to changes in their birth announcements, the Sussexes' story has always had holes. The updated birth certificate for Archie, done just 11 days after his birth to include her royal title, stirred additional speculation. And unlike Kate and William, who presented each of their newborns to the press hours after birth, Meghan and Harry waited more than 2 days. When they did emerge, Archie was so tightly wrapped up that only his forehead was visible. Samantha Markle hasn't held back either. In a recent interview with Dan Wooten, she claimed their father had told her 9 months before Archie was born that Meghan had retrieved her frozen eggs, suggesting surrogacy from the start. Samantha asked bluntly, if they used a surrogate, why hide it? She also argued that secrecy could jeopardize the children's eligibility for royal titles. According to royal rules, heirs must be born to a titled royal mother. The way Meghan and Harry handled Archie's birth only deepened suspicion. Initially, there were reports of a home birth at Frogmore Cottage. But then it emerged that Archie was actually born at Portland Hospital in London. The official announcement of Meghan going into labor came 7 hours after Archie had already been born. And Harry later claimed in his memoir that they were back at Frogmore 2 hours after delivery. For mothers and medical professionals, this timeline seemed implausible. The story around Lilibet's birth in 2021 was no less vague. She was born in California, far from the reach of royal reporters. There were no photos, no press access, just a quiet announcement. And that silence has become a pattern. When people began circulating a screenshot in April 2024, allegedly from Kensington Palace's X account, stating Meghan and Harry used a surrogate, the internet exploded. The message seemed to be from William and Kate's camp, posted from Frogmore Cottage, an immediate red flag. Why would Kensington Palace be posting from Harry and Meghan's former residence? Snopes debunked the claim, saying the screenshot was fake. The formatting was off, the language unusual, and the timeline made no sense. But the damage had already been done. Versions of the fake tweet circulated in 2020, 2023, and again in 2024. People saw what they wanted to see, and in the age of digital misinformation, that's all it takes to breathe new life into old rumors. Even so, the lack of a direct denial from Meghan or Harry has fueled the speculation. Why not issue a simple, public statement denying the use of a surrogate? The silence from both them and the palace is deafening. Critics argue that if the rumors are baseless, then a quick denial should settle it. But their refusal to speak only adds to the intrigue. Observers have noticed other strange details too, like the lack of medical signatures on the children's birth certificates, which is standard royal procedure. And during both pregnancies, Harry was curiously disengaged in public. He never touched her bump, not once, despite being affectionate in many other settings. Compare that to William, whose hand rarely left Kate's belly during her pregnancies. It's subtle, but noticeable. Then there's the story Harry told about laughing gas during Archie's delivery. It painted the birth as light and humorous, but that didn't align with the complications Meghan had supposedly faced. One moment she's fragile and barely moving, the next she's twerking in a video. It's inconsistent, and that inconsistency has been, ironically, the most consistent thing about their story. All of these little oddities, fluctuating bump sizes, secretive timelines, no post-birth photos, unusual behavior from Harry, absence of official documentation, don't form a smoking gun, but they do create smoke. Enough smoke that people can't help but ask, what really happened? Rational people, not conspiracy theorists, are the ones asking these questions. Because when you're in the public eye and play a role in one of the most powerful institutions in the world, people expect transparency. The issue isn't just about gossip. It's about the royal line of succession, national history, and constitutional clarity. If Meghan and Harry did use a surrogate and failed to disclose it, the implications could be serious. It might be why they're so tight-lipped. If the truth affects the legitimacy of their children's claims to titles, it becomes more than a personal matter. It becomes political. And finally, there's the issue of control. Meghan often seems to steer the narrative back to herself. Every time a story about the kids gains traction, she drops a video, a podcast, a quote, something that puts the focus back on her. Some see it as calculated, others as desperate. But either way, it keeps the public questioning her motives. So here we are. Years after Archie's birth, the speculation hasn't gone away. In fact, it's louder than ever. And until Meghan and Harry directly address the rumors with verifiable proof, the theories, no matter how wild, are likely to stick around.